Hey YouTube, so let's do this thing. Let's get straight into it and let's talk about mental health. I want to start off by saying that I am not a mental health expert. I majored in politics and I have no background in psychology. So this is my unprofessional video on mental health and just my experience with mental health and the stigma of having a mental illness. I guess I'll start off with my diagnosis. I was diagnosed with anorexia, general anxiety disorder, and OCD. I also I know that I suffered from depression a little bit my sophomore year of college, and I think it stems sort of from my general anxiety disorder. I think all of my disorders kind of stem from my general anxiety disorder, like making everything worse and just piling on the mental illnesses with that anxiety disorder, if that makes any sense. Again, not scientific, that could make absolutely no sense, but that's just my analysis of my own brain. I honestly don't feel too much stigma around having anxiety disorder because I feel like it's a really common mental illness and it's one that people kind of look as not so serious, even though it can be. I guess one of my mental illness issues that I felt the most judged by was my eating disorder because, well, at the time that I was suffering from it, it was really obvious. I was so skinny and my bones were sticking out everywhere, and it was anyone would know, even if they didn't know me. I have recovered, weight recovered, and mostly mentally recovered, but it's still a little bit there, even though it's been 5 or 6 years. I always feel like I have to tell people about it at some point because it was a huge part of my life and it did affect me a lot. And also I have a tattoo relating to it, so people always ask me about that. I always feel like when I tell people about having an eating disorder, they're like, they kind of their brain starts working and thinking about things they've said to me, or they start thinking about how I've been eating or how much I exercise, or if I ever comment on my weight, they take it more seriously. You kind of get a different reaction when you tell people that you've had an eating disorder. It's not great feeling like people view you differently because of what you've been through. At the same time, it's also good to have help, and if I really were slipping back into my old ways, it would be good to have those friends. And the mental illness I never really knew I had was OCD, because I didn't realize I was diagnosed with OCD until I was looking at my doctor's record. It was on there listed with anxiety disorder and my eating disorder. I don't really agree with that diagnosis because I feel like it just kind of came off from when I had my eating disorder. I would measure my food and I would also count the number of calories of food, the number of calories I exercised, and sort of make sure they balance each other out. So that was the only instance where I feel like I expressed OCD. I don't think I really have it. There's no symptoms that I see that I have currently that hinder my quality of life. So, and the hardest one to talk about is when I was depressed. I didn't even realize it until my mom kind of told me, and I didn't go see a doctor, so I've never been diagnosed. But looking back on my sophomore year of college, I would have to agree that I was depressed. I was either sleeping all day or crying all day or eating or not eating or having suicidal thoughts, and that it was only really bad for about 5 months, and then I got out of my living situation that I was in that was kind of creating those negative thoughts and that depression, and I got better. I have to say sometimes I have days where I can feel it. I'm afraid of being diagnosed with it, honestly. So for me, the hardest thing about my mental health issues is not just having one mental health issue, it's having multiple mental health issues. some judged more harshly than others. It's just hard when you meet new people. Those people who don't know you well might just judge you based on your mental health history. The problem with mental illness is that it's either not taken seriously and not treated and not enough research and money and time is put into it, or it's taken really seriously and then also people judge you for having it, and it's seen as not really an illness that you can't help but have. It's sort of seen as like a strength of mind or lack of strength of mind, lack of control, lack of having being a normal person, basically. I would like to live in a world where people with mental illnesses aren't judged for having those mental illnesses and are just helped and given treatment. And don't be afraid to go get help and tell people about your mental illness just because you're afraid of how they're going to judge you, because even if they do judge you and they put you in a certain mental illness box, at least you'll be getting the treatment that you need. And if people in your life don't support you, then find someone who will. Find a support group, find even people on the internet who have suffered the same mental illness and recovered or are recovering from it, and just get advice from people and know that you're not alone. People you wouldn't expect have suffered from mental illnesses and are living with mental illnesses and lead normal lives. This is already a really long video, so I'm gonna stop now. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions for me, make sure to leave a comment below or send me a private message if it is more serious. I can give as much advice as I've experienced, but like I said, I don't have any professional background in mental illness, so take my advice with a grain of salt. And I hope you're having a great weekend, and I hope we can facilitate more discussion about mental illness and the stigma that surrounds it. Bye! Thanks for watching.